Welcome back guys. So as promised, I upgraded my Steam Deck's internal storage from a 64GB eMMC flash drive to a 512GB Nvme SSD having a form factor of 2230. I used SK Hynix BC711 SSD. I didn't record the entire installation process. It's a fairly simple one. We just need to remove 8 screws from the back side, pry open the back, then remove 3 internal screws in order to remove the heat shield, and then we need to disconnect the battery. After that we need to remove one screw in order to remove the storage drive. On YouTube you will find many videos showcasing the entire process. In this video I'll be just sharing with you my experience of upgrading the internal storage. After that I'll be tweaking a few settings. We'll be explaining you all of these settings. From the BIOS I'll be changing the UMA size from 1GB to 4GB. Using CryoUtility tools, I'll be changing the swap file size from 1GB to 16GB and swap tendency from 100 to 1. This right here is the 64GB eMMC flash drive that came with my Steam Deck. So first let me just show you from where I purchased my SSD. So after upgrading my storage, I dual booted Windows 11 along with SteamOS. Then I installed a refined script in order to access both of these operating systems from the boot menu. I followed TechWizard's tutorial video uploaded on YouTube. I'll give its link in the description of this video. After that I tweaked Windows 11 to run just like SteamOS. Out of the box experience with Windows 11 on Steam Deck is really not good. Games were underperforming, but after tweaking the settings they were running very nicely. I'll cover this in another video. In this video I'll just stick with SteamOS. So guys, I am from India. Here it is very difficult to find affordable SSDs having 2230 form factor. So I ordered one from eBay USA. Seller was XPC Technologies. Again, I'll give the link to the product in the description of this video. This is the bill and you can see I paid around 78 US dollars, roughly rupees 6600. I didn't even have to pay any customs. So I saved a good amount of money by ordering the product from eBay. It is basically an OEM drive, barely used, in good health. As you can see, I ordered the product on 10th of December 2022. I received it on 31st December 2022. International shipping was handled by DHL, and in India the shipping was handled by India Post. These are the tools that I used to take apart Steam Deck. A Phillips head screwdriver, this is from Stanley, and these are mobile pry tools. So before removing the back cover, make sure no SD card is installed in Steam Deck. There you go. You can use Steam Deck's case as a base. Just flip it over like this. In total there are 8 screws on the back side, 4 long screws in the corner, 4 short screws in the center. Let me just remove a couple of screws to show you the process. Place it like this. It's very easy to strip the head of the screw. Magnetic tip helps. This is how the head of the screw looks like. Let me remove another screw. Do the same thing for the other 6 screws. All 8 screws have been removed. Now it's time to pry open the back side. I'll be using this tool. Insert it right here at this corner. Move it along the crease. Nice and easy. Not applying a lot of force. Opening has been created. Just move it along this crease. There you go. As mentioned earlier, I have already done the procedure, so I don't want to do it again, but I'll still guide you through the entire procedure. Now we need to remove 3 screws. First one is right here. The second one is right here. And the third one is hidden under this foil. Just peel it off slightly. So you want to remove all of these 3 screws and then take out the heat shield. I'll just place it back. After that, you need to disconnect the battery. Let me just show you a high resolution picture of this. Battery's pull tab was tucked along this edge of the battery. Just need to remove the pull tab from here, then use it to disconnect the battery. Then you need to remove this screw. The storage drive will pop out at an angle. Just pull it out. You can use the same heat sleeve for your other SSD. If your SSD is not fitting inside it easily, you can just cut open the heat sleeve and adjust it accordingly. So insert the SSD, screw it in, connect the battery. You will see the LED indicator flashing. Then place the heat shield, screw in all of the 3 screws. Now we are ready to put the back cover on Steam Deck. It will snap back onto its place. So let me just do this. As I said, it's a fairly simple process. That's it. I'll just put in all of the screws now. This is the box in which the SSD arrived. You can see the value declared, $65. Weight is also mentioned here, and it was marked as others computer hard drive. This is done in order to clear the customs without any problems. Let me just turn on Steam Deck. Refined script will get loaded. Yeah, I can choose from SteamOS and Windows. I'll select SteamOS here. So after installing the SSD, I followed TechWizard's tutorial, dual booted Windows along with SteamOS. With my new SSD, I got around 460 GB of free space out of the box. Created 2 partitions. First partition having a size of around 160 GB ext4 format. Second partition having a size of around 300 GB NTFS format. On my first partition, I installed SteamOS. On my second partition, I installed Windows 11. Let me just show you the sizes of my partitions. Just open KDE Partition Manager. Need to enter the sudo password. Okay, so this is my 512 GB SD card, and there's my SSD BC711 from SK Hynix. These are all of the partitions, and you can see at the end we have these 2 big partitions. First one having a size of 160 GB ext4 format. Second one having a size of around 306 GB NTFS format. This is for my Windows 11. I have been using this SSD for almost a week now. I played games on both SteamOS and Windows. I did not encounter any problems. Some people say manually upgrading the SSD can affect the Wi-Fi signals. I didn't face any such issue. No issues of overheating as well. Temperatures are also roughly the same. Let me just show you the benchmark scores. These are the CrystalDisk benchmark scores for both 64GB eMMC flash drive and the 512 GB SSD. On the left side, I have the scores for the SSD. On the right side, I have the scores for the flash drive. And you can see the difference between the scores is huge. On the SSD, we got a sequential read speed of around 3589 megabytes per second. On the flash drive, the score was around 293 megabytes per second. On the SSD, the sequential write speed was around 2467 megabytes per second. On the flash drive, the sequential write speed was around 199 megabytes per second. Safe to say that SK Hynix BC711 SSD works very nicely with Steam Deck. Best part is that you can get it for a very affordable price. Just running a live network speed test after upgrading my internal storage. No issues with the Wi-Fi signal. I have Airtel's Extreme Fiber broadband connection. I have subscribed to their 200 megabits per second plan. I'm getting good speeds. There you go. Moving on to the next step. Now I'll be tweaking a few settings. From the BIOS utility, I'll change the UMA buffer size from 1 GB to 4 GB. This is basically the minimum memory reserved for our GPU's VRAM. Steam Deck has 16 GB of memory. It is shared between RAM and GPU's VRAM. After setting the UMA buffer size to 4 GB, the maximum RAM available for our games will be 12 GB. SteamOS dynamically allocates the VRAM. After doing this change, I'll change the swapfile size from 1 GB to 16 GB. This will be used as a RAM buffer. 16 GB of our internal space will be used for this purpose. This RAM buffer is not as fast as the real physical RAM. That is why we will be setting the swap tendency from 100 to 1. It basically tells the operating system to use the RAM buffer as a last resort in cases where games use more than 12 GB of RAM, or in cases where there is a memory leak. This will help in mitigating the negative issues caused by changing the UMA buffer size from 1 GB to 4 GB. Now I tested some games after tweaking these settings. I did observe an improvement in terms of frame times in many games. As of now, the only game known to show a performance regression after changing the UMA buffer size from 1 GB to 4 GB is Red Dead Redemption 2. Most of the games are going to run better using these settings. So first let me just change the UMA buffer. So in order to access the BIOS utility, first let me just shut down Steam Deck. Just press and hold the plus volume button. Press the power button. You'll hear the sound. Keep holding the plus volume button. There's the BIOS utility menu. So just go to setup utility from here. Go to the advanced tab. Scroll down. Select UMA frame buffer size. By default its value is set to 1 GB. I have changed it to 4 GB. Once you have selected 4 GB as the option here, just press the select button here, double rectangle. This will basically save the changes. Yes. Boot into SteamOS. Now to confirm the change, just press the Steam button here. Go to settings. Go to system. Scroll down. You can see here VRAM size changed from 1 GB to 4 GB. Now using the CryoUtility tools, I'll change the swap file size. Switch to the desktop mode. This is the GitHub page of Cryobyte Steam Deck utilities. Cryobyte has their own YouTube channel as well. I'll give its link in the description of this video. So if you are interested in understanding the working of all of these settings, you can watch their videos. Let me just download their CryoUtilities tool. Just scroll down, right click on this link, then click on save link as. Here just click on save. Open Dolphin File Explorer, then go to downloads. There's the file that we just downloaded. We need to install it now. Double click it. Click on execute. Install CryoUtilities. Just click on continue. It's installing. I didn't use it before upgrading my internal storage because 16 GB of space from my internal storage will be reserved for swap file. With the 64 GB ROM variant of Steam Deck, we get around 43 GB of space out of the box. Now if you remove 16 GB of space from it, you will be left with only 27 GB of space. This is even less than 50% of space advertised for the base variant of Steam Deck. That's crazy. On top of that, we need to install different versions of Proton compatibility layer. Each one weighs around 1 GB. So before installing any game on your internal storage, you will be already running out of free space. Alright, after the installation is complete, just go to your desktop and you will see these three new applications. CryoUtilities, basically launch the tools. Update CryoUtilities, it's the updater. And if you want to uninstall CryoUtilities tool, just run this application here. So let me just open CryoUtilities. Message popped up. Basically whether you accept the terms or not. Need to enter the sudo password. If you haven't set it yet, you need to do it now. Basically open the console terminal, type in the command passwd, hit enter, and then type in your desired password. I have already shown you this in another video. Okay, here it's showing the swap file size for my Steam Deck. Current size is 1, recommended size is 16. I want to change it. From here we can select the different values. Based on the extensive testing, 16 GB size is recommended. You can even select 32 GB, but I'll stick with 16 GB. Just wait for a few minutes. This depends on the speed of our SSD. That's it. It only took about 20 to 30 seconds for me. Now we need to change the swap tendency, also known as Swappiness. Current value is 100, recommended value is 1. I'll select 1 from here. Click OK. That's it. Here it is asking me to run the trim command. If you have updated your SteamOS to version 3.4, This is not required. Trim is included with the new version of SteamOS. In case you encounter any problems, you can always revert to default settings. All you need to do is set the swap file size to 1 GB, set Swappiness to 100, that's it. To check the new swap file size, you can run a console command. Just open console, paste this command. I'll give it in the description of this video. Hit enter and you can see the size of swap file, almost 16 GB right here. So that was our tutorial. We're done with it. Now these settings are going to help in improving the performance of games even when they are running from an SD card or an external drive, not limited to internal storage. So now I'll be running Elden Ring game info section using Proton Experimental for this game. Let me show you the performance tab. Overlay level set to 3, frame rate limit set to 60, refresh rate set to 60 Hz. That's it, nothing capped here. Alright, these are the game settings using the medium preset. Just changing the shadow quality to high. Okay, so now we are at Limgrave, just outside the castle. I'll head for the camp. There are a lot of NPCs here. You can see the GPU usage, 3.4 GB of VRAM consumed. For a stable experience, it's better to cap the FPS to 30. Not good. They are after me. So it's a very stable experience. I'll end the video here guys. Going forward, I'll be using these settings in most of my gameplays. We'll mention this in the description. I hope you found the video useful. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.